In this video, you're going to continue with permissions in the command line crash course. So you've seen before how to add permissions to a certain type of users. Now, before moving to the numeric way of dealing with permissions, let's remove permissions using the old way. So in this example, we want to remove the writes and executes permissions for both the group type and the other type. So the syntax is change mode group other minus instead of plus for adding permissions, so minus for removing permissions, and then write and execute. So let's try this. So by the way, to clear the console, you can just use the command clear. So change mode group and other minus write and execute. So before running this command, I'm just going to copy it. Let's check the current permissions of app.js. So group and other, they have read and then read and execute, right? So if we run this command, then we are removing write and execute. So we don't have any writes and we don't have any execute for the group, so it's not going to change anything. And it's just going to remove the executes for other. So let's try. And these are the new permissions, and you can see that we removed the executes for other. Now let's try to remove the write permission for the owner. So the owner is going to be you minus write. And you can see now that the owner has got only the write permission without the read permission. All right, so now let's add all permissions to all types of users. So owner, group and other, and let's add write, read, write and execute. And here we go, they all have read, write and execute permissions. All right, now let's move to the next example. So this time we want to explore the new way of dealing with permissions using numbers. So this is a modern way which is less confusing than the old style. So here we're going to be using numbers. So each number refers to a combination of permissions. So for example, 0 means that we don't have any permission. 4 means that we have the read permission, but we don't have the write or execute permissions. So the way it works is that each permission has got a corresponding number. So execute corresponds to 1, write is 2, and read is 4. So a number 3, for example, means that we've got x and w. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. So each of these numbers will correspond to a unique combination. So 6 refers to 2 plus 4, and that's write and read. And let's check that. Write, read and write. Perfect. And if you check, for example, 5, that's 1 plus 4, and you can see that 5 is actually read and execute. Execute and write is 3, right? So this is how the numeric mode works. Now, if you want to change the permissions of app.js to 7, 5, and 1, that means that the user is going to have the number 7, meaning that they have all permissions. The group is going to have number 5, which is 4 plus 1, which is execute and read. Read and execute. And 1 for the other type means that we can only execute. So let's try that with app.js and see the results. So change mode 5 or 751 app.js, and let's see what permissions we have. And you can see that the owner has got all permissions. That's the highest number possible. The group has got read and execute, which is 4 plus 1, 5, and other has got only execute, which is 1. Perfect. Now let's move to the next example. Now we're going to be manipulating files, copying them, etc. So to copy a file, we just use the cp command, which stands for copy. So let's try that. So create a copy of app.js and call it app2.js. So before running the command, let's just write some text inside app.js. Okay. And now let's copy it. And let's check what's inside app2.js, and it's got the same content. So this one is a copy of that one. All right, so let's move to the next example. Now you can also use a full path of a file if you want to create a copy. So let's say that you've got a file of app.js inside the root directory. You can create a copy of that file inside your current directory. So let's try that. So let's go to the root directory and let's create a file app.js. Okay, so we can't do that because the current user is not the root user. So to do this, we're going to need to run this command as root. So what you can do, you can just add sudo at the beginning of the command. And it's going to ask you for your password. Okay, so now if you check the files inside the root directory, you can see app.js right there. So now let's add some text inside app.js. So I can open app.js using the vim command, like that. And you can see that we've got an empty file. So if you type or press I, this stands for insert. So now I can start inserting text and I can do anything I like. I can delete text, add text, etc. So let's just add console.log hello. Okay, so if I press escape, then colon, W and then Q. So W to write and save the changes, Q to quit. Okay, so this file is read-only because it's actually in the root directory of my computer. I'm gonna cancel all changes for now, then quit. And then I'm going to open this using sudo And now I'm gonna add text and then escape WQ, and this time it works, right? So now if I try again vim of app.js, you can see that he's got some new text. You can also open the file using brackets if you install the brackets command line utility, like this. And here you go, you can see that we've got the file open. And its location is the root directory of the computer. But you're not going to be able to change the file. So if I change it and try to save, then I get an error because I'm not logged in as the root user. All right, so let's close it. All right, so let's move to the next example. So, all right, we wanted to copy this file into our node folder. So now let's move to, or go back to the node folder. So let's go to desktop, node. And now we want to copy this app.js file, which we created in the root directory of the computer. We want to copy it into a file I'm going to call app3.js. And here we go, we've got a new file, app3.js. All right. Now let's move to the next example. Now, if you want to remove this file, so let's remove app3.js. So you can do that. And in this case, you're going to be prompted, you're going to get a confirmation prompt. If you want to avoid that, you can just use the F option. And now this file is going to be removed. Okay, so next one. This time, let's move our file app.js to another folder. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new folder, JS, inside our node folder, and then we're going to move that file inside that folder. So to create our new folder, we're going to use the make directory command. So we're going to call this JS. So that's our new folder. And let's move our file app.js into that folder. Now you can either do it like this or specify a new name for your file inside the JS folder. So if you want to call it script.js, for example, then the new file is going to be script.js. So we moved the file from there to there and we renamed it script.js. Now, if you want to move app2.js to the JS folder like that and keep the same name, that will work as well. Here we go. All right, now let's move to the next example. We can rename a file by moving it inside the same folder by using a new name. So we're going to rename app.js server.js. So our app.js file is inside the JS folder. So at the moment we are inside the JS folder. All right. And we've got these two files. So let's rename app2.js server.js. And here you go. The name has just changed. Perfect. Now let's move to the next one. Now you can also create a copy of a directory. So to do that, you use the copy command with the R option. So this will copy the directory with everything inside it. So that's the original directory and that's the new directory. So we're going to move up one directory to the node folder, and then we're going to copy the JS directory to a new directory, JS2. And we're going to use the R command to copy everything. So now if you check the JS2 directory, then you can see that it contains everything that you see inside JS. All right. So there is an improved version using the A option, and this one will actually preserve file attributes and copy hidden files as well. So let's try it. So before doing that, I'm just going to add another folder inside JS and call it scripts, and just add a file inside it, javascript.js, just to see that everything gets copied. So the syntax is copy -a. So we copy in the JS folder like that into JS2. So that's the syntax. And this will copy everything, including hidden files, if you have any hidden files. And here we go. You can also copy a file using a full path like that. So if you've got a file inside the root directory or any other directory, you can use its full path like this to copy it into your directory. All right, so now let's move to the next one. Here you can use the output of a command to overwrite inside a file. So you just need to use the greater than sign. So the output of this command is going to be whatever we echo here, all right, is going to be written or overwritten inside our app.js file. So let's try this. So let's see where we are at the moment. So let's move to JS and let's write into script.js. So echo console.log hello. So this output will be written into our file script.js like this. And you can see that we have overwritten whatever we had inside script.js. Now, if you want to append to app.js inside of overwriting it, you can do that by using double greater than sign. So let's try that. So let's append, for example, another console.log hello line. And you can see that this time we've got two lines inside script.js, and this is our new line. Perfect. So in the next video, you're going to move to the next example.